And when you push into the dosages that some of you need, you are literally risking damage to your eyesight. What is up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to PEDucation. I want to get this ASMR spritz of intelligent neon first. I just wanted to do the intro out of order to be weird. All right, today's PEDucation, me and Andrew went through and realized we did not do Clomiphene. I will be including enclomifene in this as well, but Clomiphene is the universal PCT post-cycle therapy drug used around the world in enhanced bodybuilding, and it's one of the most abused bases. I guess we'll say enclomifene is not clomiphene in the half natty TRT broccoli hair gang. As always, PEDucation is sourced by the Anabolics 11th edition. I'll have Andrew throw this book in the description below. It is outdated. There are inaccuracies in this book. However, I do like to showcase a great read for anyone getting into enhanced pharmacology and biohacking. So let's get started. So clomiphene citrate started out in the 1970s as a drug used for females who could not ovulate. So it was originally designed as a fertility medication to help females have ovulation. Obviously, it trickled down into bodybuilding for its effects on luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, resulting in a restart of the HPTA axis. So for example, when you do steroids or SERMs, you shut off the HPTA axis, which causes the nuts to shut down. The brain to penis connection gets fucked up, and clomiphene or enclomiphene, which is a isomer broken down of clomiphene, helps you restart your hormone system so you do not just come off cold turkey and sit in this crash state. This helps you restart the feedback loops, resulting in your natural testosterone, hopefully resulting in your hormones creeping up somewhere near the baseline they were before you added in the exogenous androgens fucking up the system. Clomiphene is different from other SERMs as it demonstrates anti-estrogenic and estrogenic properties at the same time in different tissues of the body. So it can be an antagonist or agonist. So it is much different from Nolvadex. So when people come in, directly contact me, can I only do Nolvadex? Like, do I have to do clomiphene? Personally, I recommend enclomifene as there's less side effects, but you would definitely want to, if you had to pick one individual PCT compound, if you were strapped for money, I would lead towards picking enclomifene or clomiphene. This post-cycle therapy drug is always used in combinations with Nolvadex and HCG, HMG, or RFSH. RFSH is reconstituted follicle stimulating hormone. HMG is a mimetic of that. But realistically, the best post-cycle therapy setup, in my opinion, would be to do RFSH and HCG on cycle, as the mimetics never shutting off the HPTA axis, aka you're overriding it the entire time. You're using exogenous androgens. And then you would bridge into Nolvadex, which is blocking the negative estrogen feedback loop from getting fucked up. And then you would add enclomifene, raising luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, thus resulting in this crazy PCT bridge trying to mitigate you getting off the exogenous androgens, whether that be SERMs or steroid cycle. So that would be like the best, like, I have unlimited money setup. And clomiphene or enclomifene is the critical hitter when it comes to getting rid of the mimetics, aka you don't want HCG, HMG, or RFSH in post-cycle therapy. They're on cycle therapy support. You would want to bridge into post-cycle therapy, which would be enclomifene or clomiphene plus Nolvadex, and that would help you cause the least amount of stress trying to pull out all these exogenous androgens acting on the androgen receptors, and to still have your natural testosterone, your brain to penis connection firing, and you would be able to never have a dip in luteinizing hormone or follicle stimulating hormone as you try to become fully natural again. Obviously, there's probably tons of RNA adaptations and androgen receptor remapping that goes on to where when you do steroids or SERMs, I would hope you know you may or may not be a slave to those for the rest of your life. However, it is possible to walk away, and using clomiphene is one of those heavy hitters in that situation. I do want to, again, go into that even though clomiphene on paper demonstrates a lot of anti-estrogenic activities, it is estrogenic in the liver, and it can, in my opinion, cause gynecomastia from raising LH and FSH so high and being estrogenic in the liver particularly. You are facing a thing where clomiphene alone could theoretically cause gyno. So that's why clomiphene plus Nolvadex has been the gold standard since before Russo ever touched steroids or SERMs. So when I see all these people, oh, I'm only do clomiphene or enclomiphene post-cycle and not do Nolvadex. What if you create this environment where the estrogen feedback loop gets fucked up and elevated, thus resulting in a lower natural testosterone score because all your body is doing is reading that fucked up estrogen feedback loop? The reason why Nolvadex is in there is to stop that from happening. I've had a lot of guys get gyno, get water retention, get estrogenic side effects, especially using clomiphene only. Obviously, enclomiphene has a much shorter half-life, but clomiphene only could theoretically lead to estrogenic problems post-cycle. That's why every old school bodybuilder watching this video knows to do clomiphene plus Nolvadex if they're actually trying to walk away from the enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle. These new age kids want to just use enclomiphene or clomiphene post-cycle. That could lead towards a higher estrogen level, which the body is going to use as the variable to calculate how much natural testosterone it wants to make. Clomiphene in certain cases and enclomiphene has been seen to, again, hopefully lower LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, which is getting completely fucked up as you abuse SERMs and steroids. You're always fighting what's called a cholesterol skew. So you're fighting your HDL, your good cholesterol, being in the fucking gutter, right? Your goal with your HDL should, on cycle, in my opinion, with your diet obviously being the mitigating factor, would want to keep it 30 to 50. I've never really seen a good HDL above 50. For example, a completely natural person can have HDL above 80, and then you want to keep that LDL down, right? So theoretically, clomiphene could come in there due to some estrogenic properties and have that HDL kind of recover, and the LDL hopefully lowers. Now, this is individual per individual, and diet is a big playing factor. Genetics are a big playing factor, but you don't want to get your blood work done after and your HDL, your good cholesterol, is like fucking single digits and your LDL is above 200. That means your fucking arteries are fucking clogged up and there's no good cholesterol at all. Now let's go to the evolution. I guess I'll have Andrew put enclomiphene and clomiphene. I'm not really going to make a separate video because I want to go into my personal beefs with clomiphene. So there's a lot of suicides in bodybuilding in general. When you're doing this enhanced pharmacology lifestyle, you are directly fucking with your neurochemistry all the fucking time, whether you want to believe it or not, using different types of androgens with their anabolic androgenic ratios, using estrogenic compounds or anti-estrogenic compounds. This is all impacting serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline, allopregnanolone, the GABA system. Everything is getting tweaked when you're fucking flooding these receptors. Clomiphene is notorious for suicides in bodybuilding. Clomiphene particularly, and it's the isomer zooclomiphene. So clomiphene can be broken down into zooclomiphene and enclomiphene. They decided to isolate enclomiphene because they decided that zooclomiphene is the associations with horrible, it's like a period in a bottle. That's what I say, clomiphene. It's like literally a male period in a bottle. Andrew, I remember I went to watch a movie with my girlfriend and she's like, why are you bawling your eyes out? I was on like 100 milligrams of clomiphene a day trying to recover my HPTA. And I was like so into the movie and I was crying. Like, if that emotional state is paired with something actually traumatic in your life that's fucking serious, you could see how you could be pushed over the deep end and how clomiphene sits in the body 30 days after your last dosing. That's another big thing with clomiphene, is that People will take clomiphene, not realize it sits in your body and it's fucking with your natural hormone system for 30 days after your last dosing. And Andrew, they'll get blood work done 4 days after and they'll be like, oh, my natural testosterone's fine. That's not a good reading. That's a fake, false fucking reading, okay? You have to wait 30 days. You got to wait 4 weeks after clomiphene, your last dosing, to see where your actual hormone axis sits without clomiphene acting upon your blood work and skewing your actual natural testosterone results, skewing your HDL, skewing your luteinizing hormone, skewing your follicle stimulating hormone. All these things are impacted by clomiphene, and you want to wait 4 weeks post Clomid dosing, the last dosing, to truly know where your natural testosterone sits, to truly know where your cholesterol sits, to truly know where your luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone sits, to see if your HPTA actually recovered. Enclomiphene is different. The half-life of enclomiphene is only 10 hours and you can dose it more aggressively. Personally, I still get emotional side effects on enclomiphene. It's nowhere near clomiphene because you're taking the isomer of zooclomiphene out of there, but I would still err on the side of caution with it. You would have less side effects and you'd be able to dose it more aggressively, and people seem to use this as a testosterone base to keep their gonads on. I have already bitched and complained about that, and I've gotten attacked by the broccoli hair gang that, you know, I like using enclomiphene as my base. Go for it, dude. Go for it. Personally, I would just stop being a pussy, stop being afraid of needles, and inject HCG while you're on cycle, and then use enclomiphene off cycle. Basically, what I'm getting at is clomiphene and enclomiphene are nasty fucking drugs, okay? They're not this little picnic party drug that, Andrew, every TikToker's like, buy clomiphene, buy enclomiphene. It's not like that. You know, this is one of the drugs that you can link back to suicides in bodybuilding for a long time. I'm going to go into the next side effect. Permanent eye damage. Eye floaters. Permanent damage to eyes, right? Clomiphene can permanently cause eye damage. It can cause eye floaters on it, and you can withdraw from the clomiphene. Your eyes do not get better, and clomiphene can do the same thing. If you notice eye floaters on clomiphene or enclomiphene, especially if you're just popping it as this test base when you should be using HCG, just know you could be permanently damaging your eyesight. It's very well documented in the enhanced bodybuilding community for years. And in my opinion, clomiphene and enclomiphene are not even dosed aggressively or long enough to get the post-cycle therapy effect. And when you push into the dosages that some of you need, you are literally risking damage to your eyesight. And nobody likes to talk about that on TikTok, Andrew, when they're selling it. Nope. I've never fucking heard that ever on TikTok. And that's fucking commonly known. And all the big boy biohackers who actually get on camera on YouTube and have a fucking brand definitely touch on that. I don't see any of those little dorks on TikTok when they're trying to run up their code touching on that. The other thing that I got flamed for is that it fucking lowers bone density and fucking lowers IGF. So if you're fucking on enclomiphene, little TikTok kid fucking taking that all the time, you're fucking lowering your bone density and you're lowering your insulin-like growth factor, right? You're lowering your IGF, you're lowering your cell replication rate, which is good for muscle. That's creating new permanent muscle cells. People get flame on me and be like, oh, well, you could just use any of the peptides. You could use GH or you could use MK677 to offset it on cycle. How about you just fucking stop being a pussy? You realize there's some 12-year-old girl who's a type 1 diabetic that just injects her insulin, no problem. You're telling me you can't do HCG on cycle? Crazy. Clomiphene and enclomiphene should be used with a side of extreme caution. You should be like, holy fuck, I'm using like one of the craziest like period menstrual cycles in a bottle. I'm trying to fucking kickstart. Like, you shouldn't be doing that all the time. It should only be like, I want to actually get off. I want to actually walk away from cycling for a long time. So I'm gonna build up the clomiphene Nolvadex or enclomiphene Nolvadex setup and utilize it correctly. I don't want to be relying on enclomiphene for a long period of time as this test base or this low side effect compound. It's really not like that. And I want to harp again, clomiphene is directly linked towards crazy psychological issues. Anytime I take it, I feel like a fucking girl on her period, and I'm overdramatic. Everything is emotionally stimulating to a point where I overreact. I watch movies, I cry. If I watch the Titanic, I'm actually fucking into it and cry. It's just like one of those things where why would I want to take that for extended periods of time? And then why would I want to take Clomiphene that has such a vicious half-life? If I'm taking that daily, that half-life is stacking up so crazy in the body, and it's going to take over a month for it to completely get out of my body. And Clomiphene obviously mitigates a lot of the side effects. Okay, you're taking that Clomiphene isomer out of there. However, I still had emotional issues on enclomifene. I'm still getting an IGF decrease that's visible on blood work, where I have to add in another compound like MK677 and go through the ghrelin pathway and start fucking with my brain chemistry with the ghrelin pathway, which could be offsetting, or you don't know what individual per individual personality basis with the enclomifene already in there. It's one of those things where I only want to see in the enhanced bodybuilding community, I want to completely get off gear, walk away. I'm done. I damaged my health with fucking steroids and SERMs. I got the results I wanted. I want to completely try and recover my hormone access, and I'm not going to fuck with it again. I'm not going to just get off and then fuck with it a couple weeks later. Like, that's where enclomifene, Clomiphene plus Nolvadex comes in there. Otherwise, you're in it to win it. You're a slave to the needle. You're a slave to the enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle. And I would rather see you just injecting HCG and HMG as your base. You're going to have a way better physique. You're not going to suffer the IGF-1 increases. You're not going to suffer permanent eyesight damage, eye floaters, crazy mood elevations, water retention fluctuations, because Clomiphene could theoretically cause gyno. Clomiphene is estrogenic in certain parts of the body and anti-estrogenic in other parts of the body. And this enclomiphene, the isomer, the pharmacist for sure went back to the drawing board and made it safer. When I see these HRT clinics recommend enclomiphene only therapy, I'm going like, that's asking for issues. Why would you do that, in my opinion? But hey, Russo's just Mr. Tinfoil Hat over here, right? What do I know? And I just want to see people use Clomiphene and enclomifene with extreme caution. This is a drug that's very, very much riddled with fucking side effects, right? It's not one of these things where, oh yeah, I just pop this. You know, I found this guy with broccoli hair on TikTok, no side effects. You know, I take this as my test base for SERMs, and it's fucking up my IGF-1. It's lowering my bone density. It's really fucking with my mood. It's actually not helping with bodybuilding. It really should only be utilized like, I want to completely walk away from the enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle. The enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle fucked up my brain. The enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle fucked up my ability to have prominent fertility. The enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle messed with my circadian rhythm. It messed with my neurological mood. It messed with my IGF-1, my ability to recover correctly. And I am tired of taking all these drugs to counteract it. It's very expensive. I would like to retire from the enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle. I got the results I wanted. So I'm going to use HCG, HMG, or RFSH on my last cycle, start kicking the brain penis connection on, and then I'm going to cut those out, and I'm going to bridge into enclomifene or Clomiphene with Nolvadex for a long period of time. And I'm going to slowly pyramid taper off that. And then I'm going to fight the last fight to see if my gonads come back online and that my body recalibrates itself to not having superphysiological amounts of androgens interacting with all my androgen receptors, superphysiological amounts of estrogens reacting with all my estrogen receptors, that messing with everything. You want to try and get those feedback loops correct so your body wants to make natural testosterone. You don't want to do Clomiphene only and fuck with the estrogen pathway to a point where the estrogen is too high, to a point where the body's like, well, the estrogen's too high, so we're not going to have the gonads make more natural testosterone because you didn't spend money on Nolvadex to pair with enclomifene or Clomiphene. This is simple shit, guys. This is simple shit. There's some nerd who's 15 years old who already knows this, who will surpass Russo in 3 years. And I hope you TikTok broccoli hair guys who want to use your coupon codes and run them up, just educate the people correctly, because Clomiphene and enclomifene come with serious problems. So I'm going to go into the dosings since you made it to the end of the video. I will say the eyesight side effects start fucking with me personally after 75 milligrams of Clomiphene a day. When I was younger and I actually took, I don't take breaks no more. I'm a slave to the needle. I have a fucked up hormone system. I'm going to be in the enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle. I'm going to pay the piper for the damage. But when I was younger and I could walk away from it, my eyesight started getting fucked up around 75 milligrams a day of clomiphene. And for some of the cycles I did back then, I was recommended by a very famous bodybuilding coach who had multiple pro card wins and people pay him $15,000 a prep. He would say, Ryan, the thing about clomiphene is it's fucking dangerous. But if you actually want to recover your gonads, he was recommending 100 to 150 milligrams a day, which is in the permanent eyesight damage category. With enclomiphene, 20 a day. You're not dealing with the incredibly long half-life of clomiphene. It's way safer. I definitely, if I had to pick one, would go with enclomiphene, but I would at least run that 4 to 5 weeks and then pyramid down. And then as you're pyramiding down, you're keeping that Novadex in there to try and make sure that that estrogen feedback loop doesn't get fucked up. Because if the estrogen is too high, why would your body want to crank natural testosterone when it's like, oh shit, that estrogen level is too high. We're just going to lower natural testosterone to choke out that estrogen, even though you're using compounds that theoretically could be estrogenic in certain parts of the body. We're just gonna not make the amount of natural testosterone you used to make because you fucked up all these feedback loops, and that's all the brain is doing to calculate all the hormones. All the calculations are done on these feedback loops. That's why you can't cheap out. That's why you should use HCG and HMG on cycle. That's why you should use Novadex paired with clomiphene or enclomiphene. You can't make these mistakes because these result in you not recovering correctly. These result in your baseline never returning. These could result in you having to go down different avenues, different paths. You don't understand everything you did to yourself, and it leaves you off in a worse state that could be semi-permanent unless you go back to the drawing board, back to your biochemistry weapons, and you cause more damage to yourself trying to reverse the damage you voluntarily did to yourself. And not doing the PCT correctly one time will result in another month and a half of you finagling everything and then waiting for these drugs to get out of your system to actually see if you can walk away from the enhanced bodybuilding lifestyle completely. Clomiphene and enclomiphene are no fucking joke. I hope after this video, you go in and you educate others that are abusing these compounds. I will see you guys in my next video.